how we can actually recognize in business when is a short time opportunity, when is a long time opportunity. That's how we don't taking decisions. It may give you as a lot of money now, but also make you as losing even more money after.
China was really good because it was so profitable, almost too good to be true. We planted a lot of red grape varieties. We doubled the area that our vineyard was.
You have been investing so much in your vineyards.
If you continue buying grapes from the person who accepts the lowest price, then you're effectively lowering the standard of the fruit you're going to receive.
If there is no growers, there is no grapes. If there is no grapes, there is no wine.
It's a long game, the wine industry. You've got to remember who we're making these wines for.
Hi, visionaries. Today we are here with Chris Dent, and he's a grower, very well-known grower now between in Australia wine industry, who has been rethinking and have bringing very different visions through LinkedIn. That's how we met. And then we're gonna speak a little bit about the different parts of the wine industry. And today we're gonna focus more what's about what's the pain, what's going on the beginning of everything, even before we made wine, the grow up aspect of the wine. So, Chris, please tell me, how did you end up in the wine industry? How was the path took you to be a grower?
I was born into it, Priscilla. So yeah, my parents owned this farm since 1970. They started growing grapes. But yeah, I was born into it, and so my weekends and after school was coming down here onto the farm with Dad and driving the tractor and moving equipment around and helping out where I could. And I was baptized almost with wine, that it was part of our dinner table from a very young age. Like I remember sipping Moscato and all sorts of drinks when I was well under the age. But that was my world. Like that's our social, or our discussions around the family dinner table was all about wine and the farm, and it was our life. So yeah, it was in my blood, and so yeah, it was. While there was no pressure from Mum and Dad for me to come back to the farm or even take wine as a career, it was pretty hard to stray from that path. So yeah, I went to uni and studied viticulture. So I got a degree in viticulture, and yeah, and then I went. I was told I wasn't allowed to come straight back to the farm. I had to go and see the world and understand, business and other aspects, because the world doesn't revolve around Mystic Park here where we live. So that was good education. So I went off and worked for Casella Wines for a few years, managing vineyards, and then went down to the Barossa and worked for what was Orlando Wines back then, so Jacobs Creek. Started off as a grower liaison officer, where I was buying the grapes for the winery from a few regions. And then after a few years of doing that, I ended up the national viticulturalist for that company. So traveling right around Australia, working with growers in all sorts of regions, as well as our own vineyard footprint, and helping them with all viticulture strategies. And also in that time, we're really implementing sustainability initiatives. It was Entwine back then, it's now Sustainable Wine Growing. So yeah, a lot of that sort of work. And then moved back to the farm in 2013, not long after I got married, and worked alongside Mum and Dad, and sort of grew the farm, sort of took it to the modern age. Like Mum and Dad did an amazing job to build the vineyard to where it was, and did it off their own back. It started with nothing, but yeah, obviously as their age went along, they kind of were missing out on new technology and that sort of thing. So I came back and started implementing what I could with that. and sort of built the vineyard to where we are today. So, yeah, my story is a lifetime of being either connected to this farm and also the wine industry.
So thank you for sharing your personal story. Chris, 2013, you're back into the farm with your parents, and now
Mm,
we are in 2026.
yep,
13 years. Of the last 13 years, you pretty much focus on one work and one job, with one family business. So,
yep.
what's changed from 30 years ago? We are in 2026. What's really is not there anymore, and that's what worries you so much. And you started to really rethinking or thinking what's wrong with the wine industry.
I love the wine industry, and obviously, I've chosen it as a life and as a passion, and that's why I'm so um, invested in it, but also so emotional about it. Is it's my life, it's my whole story. It defines who I am. So yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about it. 2013, things were pretty tough back then when I moved back here. Like, prices weren't that great. We'd just come out of the millennial drought, so we still had a lot of high costs. But things were there was an air of, righto, we've got through that tough period, and there was a feeling that you know there could be change around the corner. Um,
Mhm,
and obviously, through my time working for other wine companies and building my networks, I knew that I could use those networks to help sell my fruit, because that's all we do. We don't have a wine brand. We are purely a grape grower, and we sell to
mhm,
other wineries. Um, so I had the contacts, so I thought I could, you know, give this a good crack. Um, and yeah, I wanted to grow the business. We were a reasonable size, but you always want to get bigger. You want to build more efficiencies. You want to improve on what you do, and you know, I like the technology side of things. So you need to have scale to be able to justify a lot of that. So I wanted to grow the vineyard and the business, and build relationships, and was lucky too, because China started really taking off for Australia, and
mm.
showed an opening of buoyancy, that things. I was only looking at some of our numbers the other day, and I still shake my head how good the prices were back in 2020, 2021. Like, things were going. China had just shut the gate, but things were, because it takes time for all that to happen. Um, you know, the prices came good, and we got to increase our vineyard footprint. So yeah, we got to do a bit of growing, and build our asset, which was great. And then yeah, things got tough again once the effects of China took hold, and then COVID, and all the other things ever since. The generational shift too, from consumers. Our baby boomers are dwindling down, who were our biggest consumer, and the new generation just aren't drinking the same. So obviously there's been a massive consumer shift that's really changed the dynamic. But yeah, we wanted I want to continue to grow our wine, our wine business, our vineyard. And I'm relatively young. I'm 41, so I've still got a fair bit of time to go. My dad was 84 when he died, and he was working on this farm. So I've got 40 years or more ahead of me. So
At
I
least, at
want this.
least 40. At least, at
Yeah, that's
least. You
it.
may have it
So
more than that.
I want a, a healthy industry that creates a healthy business for me, and opportunities for my family, and the next generation if it wants to. But right now, where I'm at the bottom or the top, whichever way you want to call it, of the supply chain. Like, I am so I'm the furthest away from the consumer, but I watch all the steps in between: the winemaking, the marketing, the selling, and all of those steps have impacts that come back to me as the grower. And yeah, some of the behaviours and the actions, um, particularly over the last little while, have sort of just frustrated me because it's not helping build an industry that's going to be able to help me thrive or my community thrive. So my community is in my colleagues, other growers, my my customers, the wineries that I supply. Like we want to bring back the profitability so we can all thrive and continue for another 40 years at least.
I had a question for you. I wanted to your honestly point of view. I was speaking with someone in the wine industry here in South Australia, and then I asked that person. I won't mention who it is because we spoke outside of the springs.
Yep.
So, and he was honest, giving me his point of view, and I wanted to go to putting this on the table to see your perspective. He said to me, one of the things is really that behind the wine industry in Australia, as the China make increase and they make the prices going up and they make a very good price and sales and they're making the whole Australia grow, was as well the part of making the crisis we have today. His point of view was the government gave visas, citizenship for China if they buy wine and selling wines in China. But no one really was making sure they actually building consumers than just to buy this bunch of wine, but that no one actually had the knowledge of what they were doing with this wine in China. So
Right.
there is a lot of the thoughts and perspectives I can't prove. I don't have data, so this don't take it. People don't
Mm.
shoot me stones on this podcast. But there is a perspective, a perception inside of the wine industry for some people who has been there. That is well, China never been building that demand what we hold in Australia that China had. We sold a
Mm.
lot of the ones, but no one actually was make sure that there is a demand.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
according with some growers and wineries I spoke for, they sold their wine because it was a good business. I got
Mm.
money in
Mm.
my pocket, but no one actually was looking if there was a short time or a long time. Because COVID
Yep.
as well give you a short time too. So we have a good short time, but it was never a long business too because everybody going crazy drink alcohol when it's stuck at home.
Yeah. Yep.
But was just a short period. It's never a long time. So
Mm.
how we can actually recognize in business when is a short time opportunity, when is a long time opportunity. That's how we don't taking decisions. It may
Yep.
give you us a lot of money now, but also make us losing even more money after. It's like I like it to put this analogy for people to understand. It's like if you want to lose your weight. Do you want to take one of these medications where you're losing weight next day, or do you want to go to actually work out, eat well, going to the long way around
Mm.
to make sure you're skinny, or you just want one of these medications where you can do that miracle? You get skinny in the I don't know, like a month or two, but
Yep.
also when you stop, you get everything like you got a double weight back. So this is kind of an analogy so people understand what my question is, and I would
Yeah.
like it to give you honestly perspective, even if you guess what I have said.
Well, I can only respond in what I know. Obviously, like I say, I'm a grower. I'm at the bottom of the chain. But I think China was really good because it was so profitable. It was hard to know, and it was almost in hindsight, if you sat back and look at it, almost too good to be true.
Hmm.
So realistically, it was never going to last. Something was bubble was going to burst somehow, some way, because it was pretty fast on the up. So and consequently, it was pretty fast on the down because of the tariffs. But I don't blame anybody, any producers for going over there and chasing that high margin sale because the margins were really good. Um, I think it's just a matter of, you know, approaching a market or a new segment, or might be a new wine that you do. Like, you got to do it eyes wide open. You got to know that it might work or it might not, and you kind of got to. And there's been a lot of rhetoric about it ever since, of diversifying and not put all your eggs in one basket. But
Mhm.
um, I think that's probably the important thing, is whatever market you enter, you go in eyes wide open, and if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But it's worth pursuing. You know, if not for the short term, you wouldn't want to say no. Like, if I was a producer and I said, "Oh no, it's too good to be true. I'm not going to go and sell my wine to China for the 2 or 3 years that it was going really well," then I would have lost out on a whole heap of margin, a whole heap of profit. So yeah, you wouldn't, not say no, but you've just got to be wise in how you approach markets and new product development, all those things. To I don't know if it's answered the question or not, but
Yeah.
yeah, just it it was important, and it helped build our industry there for a couple of years. It might have been a little bit of false positivity, in terms of, it was positive, but it was just hiding a lot of problems, that underlying problems that we're now dealing with. But it was good while it lasted, and so um, yeah, that's probably my response to it. Obviously, from the consumption point of view, I think a big one for China was all the state dinners and the big banquets and things that were all put on by government agencies. Now all that's
Mm,
stopped, and that's where a lot
mm,
of our wine was being consumed. When I was at Orlando, I had a lot of colleagues that went over to China for for weekly intervals to
mhm.
to go to these banquets and promote um, our wines. And it was a really important piece of promotion. It all had to happen, and a lot of wine got consumed doing that. So that was really good while it lasted, but now all that doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, that's my response.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, this person was said something I did not mention. He actually grew three times his winery because
Mm,
that opportunity, and because it
yeah.
was the short term, no long term. He started with that big production.
Now he's paying for it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it doubt the market because it was
yeah.
so good. I guess a lot of people produce more from
Yes.
grapes, from wines, from everything because was the opportunity there. And then he said it was a rapidly growth.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like three times he produced more in a short time, and for it to get the demand. But in the
Mm,
end, it was a decision who um, almost then closed the doors, and they need to actually sell the business for someone else because he could not continue in the business
wow.
because um,
See,
this for the
we
same
did that
reason.
in all the in when we expanded our vineyard. A lot of that was off the back of how things were going. So we planted a lot of red grape varieties, and we doubled the area that our vineyard was over the course of about 6 years. And that was all red grape varieties, that were potentially going to China or elsewhere. So yeah, now we've got a lot of varieties that are in excess, and we're having to make some decisions. We grafted a whole heap of Cabernet over to Prosecco last year. We're going to pull out the Merlot this year. So yeah, we're paying for a lot of those decisions as well. But I don't regret it, because that was the right decision at the time. Um,
It's
when I
the
look
information
back at,
you have.
yeah, yeah, my crystal ball didn't have um, COVID, tariffs, generational change in consumption, interest rates where they were. Like, it was all based on, sound information at the time, and good
Yeah,
assumptions, and the bank backed us. But it's all changed now. So
yeah.
you've got to move and pivot to you know to
The next.
to keep going. Otherwise, yeah, you'll go bankrupt.
Yeah. So the other thing I really like from your post is I don't, if people don't know Chris, then please follow him the LinkedIn. It's one of the best like posters that I really like to read. So it's he said like one of the posts I had to follow you. I don't know if I follow you, I connect to you, but because that post says had to really, I thought it's going to be a great interview was
Yeah.
having two things I want to talk about. The first one was about you have been investing so much in your vineyards.
Yep.
With you already said with the old technologies, try to do the sustainable, try to make sure
Yep.
you make the right thing, the right decision for the humans being, like to try to make sure we get the good fruit with less any type of chemicals or anything. You try to always drive it to to actually be on the right path.
Yep.
But the word, it seems like, is not reward who is going to the right path. And having this feeling, I'm also like, should I take the right path or the bad path? Because who take the bad path now is make profit, and I'm the right
Mm.
path and I'm getting behind. So,
Yeah.
so the system reward, like who is reward the people who do the right thing or the bad thing. Is have
Yep.
a problem there, right, Chris? Do you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. So that was just voicing, because I've made a lot of decisions for the betterment of my vineyard today, but also in the future. So I'm investing a lot and spending money on things that don't give me a return right now, but I'm building for something more um, later. So and
Long term.
yes, long term, and I've implemented, gone above and beyond from a sustainability. We've got sustainable wine growing, but we've also got fair farms. So we've gone an extra step there. Been doing a lot around regenerative viticulture. So we've been building our soil carbon. I'm not getting paid anymore for doing that, but I'm doing it for the future and the resilience of my vineyard. Um, but then when I see, you know, right now there's more grapes than there is demand. So wineries are in this position where they can choose who they deal with. And at the moment, it's just a matter of whoever accepts the lowest price is the grower that gets the sale. Um, and that's hard because of all the extra things that I'm doing. My price, my cost is higher, and I'm
Mm,
trying to ask for a higher price in return for that. But none of the stuff that I'm doing is being valued right now. So the wineries don't really care because they just want to buy grapes at the lowest price they can to then make it and sell it sustainably for them. And yeah, my frustration was, well, if you continue doing that and um, giving, buying grapes from the person who accepts the lowest price, then you're effectively lowering the standard of the fruit you're going to receive, and you're going to knock off people like me who are trying to do the right thing. We're not going to survive because we can't get a sale, and they are the ones that are short doing all the shortcuts, not building a sustainable model. They're just sort of, they might be 5 years from retirement, or they might be just they're sailing off into the sunset, so they can accept a lower price. They're not going to be here in 5, 10, 20 years time. I hope I am, and so yeah, my message with that was I'm really hoping that the wineries, when they do make these choices, that they choose the right ones, and it might not be the cheapest price, but it'll be the ones who provide them with a good product for them to then build from and make good wine and sell profitably, which then you know builds the whole industry. So yeah, it wasn't a frustration at anyone in particular, but it was just telling my story that um, it's not always about the lowest price. Um, sadly, at the moment, it has been because the situation of the industry. But there's a bit more to it when it comes to the longevity of growers, wineries, and our story.
Yeah, something I want to add it to your thoughts and something for us to reflect it together. It's if there is no growers, there is no grapes. If there is no
Mm.
grapes, there is no wine. So
Yep,
if you were pushing the growers as low as they can, there is not gonna be enough grapes available for anybody in the future to make wine either. So
that's right.
if you don't work as a understand we need to each other, yeah,
Yeah,
we need to build in like a relationship so long term because we never know
mm,
what's the day gonna be tomorrow. And if you be on this game of the cheaper one, you always turn it up with pushing the girls out. Like people just wanted to plenty anything else with giving
yep,
them sustainable money to build the family, the business, their life. They're not
yeah.
gonna be business if they don't making any money.
Well,
If they
and
just
that's my point.
if
If That's my point. If you support a grower who's 5 years from retirement, what are you going to do in 5 years when he goes? Because if I don't get to sell my grapes, then I have to make the tough decisions, and I might not be here. Yet I'm the one you probably need 5 years time or 10 years time, and so it's a matter of choice, and it's a matter of because sadly we've got more grapes than what we need. The choice is important right now, and just choosing those who will accept the lowest price might not be the right answer for the longevity of the industry. So that's right. And one thing I didn't say that I'm the chairman of Murray Valley Wine Growers, so that's the industry body who looks after all the independent growers in the Murray Valley region. And we have 260 growers at the moment. We had 1,400 12 years ago, so we've lost a lot of growers already. Yeah,
wow.
and we reckon we might lose another, uh, if not 40, 50 growers this year because of the state of the industry. Like the grower number is dropping fast, and
Wow.
some
Very good
some are
point.
getting some are there's some like me who are young and have a future. There's a lot that aren't, and there's a lot where the next generation's not coming back to the family farm. So it's a worry because the real effects of it will be felt very soon. And that's just one region. We're the second largest wine region in the country, Riverland being the first. So um, you know, and we represent what, yeah, 30% of the industry's crush in terms of volume. So it's a lot of grapes that we do, and we're part of what they call the inland regions, so Riverland, Murray Valley, and the Riverina. Um, and so, yeah, between those three regions, we produce 70% of the industry's tonnages, and we produce mainly for the entry level style wines, and the uh, the the everyday wines, as opposed to the likes of the Barossa and McLaren Vale and Margaret River. That might be the weekend wines. We produce the everyday wines. So um, yeah, just a bit of a context of my experience and what I'm seeing, and the people that are on the ground. And yeah, the grower number is dropping off fast, and it's purely because of where the pricing's gone, and there's the vision forward is pretty murky at the moment. It's not very clear.
No, we don't have a clarity about that. And
No.
I think as well, you are reading one of the article where we spoken about um, the final prices Australia accepting for the grapes, like for the everyday wine, is way
Mm.
below than should that was the previous year.
Yep.
Leafy ones days not even made it, and end up be putting those prices as a standard of Australian wines, and they
Mm.
start to pushing everybody else to match that price. That's not sustainable for someone who is actually using technology, sustainable practices, and to try to move in the wine
Mm.
industry is actually have a good product. So how your point of view, like of those kind of the, and this is one behavior from someone else that's impacting all the chain,
Everybody,
the,
yeah, that's right.
everybody. So I don't think people really reflected um, when they just want to win for themselves without think beyond of themselves, how
Mm.
they're going to affect the whole chain.
Yep.
Because your decision, what you made it, if it's just only good for you, but it's not good for everybody, you can actually impact a lot. And it even can go against of yourself later on too.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and then that's because at the moment, there's growers, there's no more growers, and there's no more many groups that we can choose for. You won't be able to sell for that promise of you gave the price you gave anymore. So even you is going to be out of the business. If you think
That's
about
right.
a long term,
Yeah.
like if there is no growers, if there is no other things, you can't be able to keep your promise to selling the cheapest one and have everyone in the bottle with you because maybe the people can't make it and go out, but you may be the next one too. It's like almost like
Mm.
universal law. Whatever you do, it's coming back to you too. So
Yeah.
like it's your attitude. So I wanted to talking about those things because I think people don't realize, and it's good for us to have this conversation. People reflecting whatever you do is not affecting only you, but it's affecting the whole industry.
Yeah, I understand why people make, their personal decisions. Their business is the number one thing that they're looking after. Because you need to survive. You need to put food on your own table before you think about anybody else. But yeah, that was frustration, and I'm so far disconnected from it. But yet, I'm just sitting back here on my vineyard, just shaking my head, asking why. So a winery allegedly was going around selling wine at a ridiculous price um, at Wine Paris, and it was 2026 wine, so wine they hadn't even made yet, and they were putting or marketing that wine at a crazy low price. Um, and so what that was doing was just undercutting all the other producers who were trying to build a bit of margin back into the whole game. So they were trying to, offer Australian wine at a much higher rate. Um, not ridiculous, but just higher rate that will build more price and margin into the whole equation, so that maybe the growers get paid a little bit more. But um, just that behaviour or that choice to do that, um, all of a sudden dropped the bar in terms of what Australian wine is worth. When they're selling wine that they haven't even made yet, so it owes them nothing, and yet they're selling it at a price that's definitely not going to build any sustainability into it for them as a producer, let alone the growers who supply the grapes. Um, so it was just frustrating that, you know, we need, I need to see grape prices improve so that I can be profitable and keep feeding my family and keep growing my vineyard. Um, for those prices, for my grape prices to get better, I need the wineries performing better and selling their wine for more. And then this winery goes out and sells it so cheap that it leaves no money in it for the grower at all, and it just undercuts the whole system. Now I got a few accusations back because I was saying, we need to hold our price, and the whole cartel conduct and things like that. There was a lot of things like, well, you can't do that, but it's like, well, how else are we going to build profitability back into our wine? Like, we've gone on this spiral of, a race to the bottom, everyone undercutting everyone, and to the point now where there's just no money in the system at all. And to my
Mm.
point earlier, growers are leaving the industry. They're going bankrupt. They can't afford to keep going, and so they're choosing to get out. Um, and that could be me too soon if it doesn't change. So it on we need to see profitability come back into our industry. Otherwise, there won't be an industry. And so we need to build our price. We need to build value back into our wines, and we need to behave like our wine is worth something, so that we can get that margin back. So um, by one player, you know, going in at half the price of the others, it just undermines the whole system, undermines and takes away any path of profitability and a thriving future. So yeah, that was my frustration. I wasn't close enough to it to know individual players and understand what the profitability and the margins are, but I knew that it was a price where that left no money for the grower, um, for a wine that wasn't even made yet. So yeah, frustrating.
Yeah. There is another the thing I wanted to put in on that perspective, because before I read your actually first article, when I first met you by this article,
Yeah,
I spoke with someone in the wine industry he's actually both as a CEO of a very own winery here, but also that same winery have like a distribution chain. And he mentioned something. It was like the distribution is it was going to cut so many producers from the portfolio because they cannot have many wineries to sell because there was no moving. So I guess it's all connected, yeah. So at the
mm,
time you have too many producers, so many wines and the grapes, and the consumers is non has no consumers is the reality check is much bigger than just one isolated problem. So
yeah,
um so how I know we don't have an answer, and I don't expect
no.
to have an answer for that question either. But what's your feelings? What's your heart telling you? How we should be moving forward?
What's my heart telling me? So, um, there will be a wine industry. This is my argument all the way along. It's not going to be as big as it was. We need to rationalise. We need to get our volumes that are specific to the requirements. Um, so it will be smaller. We do need less vineyard in the ground, probably less producers, but there will be a wine industry. And it's just a matter of what that wine industry is going to look like. And it's about, like to my point earlier, it's about who producers choose to partner with, what products they choose to make, grow, sell. Um, yeah, it depends on a lot, but there will be a wine industry. So that's what keeps me going, because I want to be a part of that. Because I don't know what else I'd do. I've got I've got a story and a history, and I don't want that story to stop now. So um, it's tough. It's really tough right now in terms financially, emotionally. But I'm plugging through. I'm fortunate to have some good wineries that I deal with. Um, I'm not saying they pay me any better than anyone else or anything like that, but it gives me hope for a future, and I can see a path or a runway because I've got some good partners, and you know I'm always open to find more, um, who've got similar philosophies, and want to deal with growers who are here for the future, and um, you know who are progressive, who are up with the technology, who understand their numbers, um, who are sustainably conscious, about what they're doing, what it does, what they're doing to the environment, what they're doing to their communities. So, I think I should be here in the wine industry moving forward. So yeah, that's what keeps me going, is that there will be a wine industry. Um, what that looks like, you asked me before we went on air. I don't have a slogan or two sentences that sort of says what my vision is, but um, yeah, just taglines like progressive and innovative and consumer focused. Um, you know, like the post I did last week about the chicken wine. Like, it's we've got to remember who we're making these wines for, and then we're not making them for us. Although I drink a lot of wine, we're making them for consumers. So, I'm lucky some of the wineries I deal with are focused on making wines for the consumer. Um, so yeah, whole lot of um, garble in that, Priscilla. But yeah, that's my vision. Is that we're progressive, that we're conscious, that we can build value back into our wines. Um, we don't discount our value, because we need to hold on to that. That's what gives us our profitability and our story. Um, yeah, and we can't afford to race to the bottom anymore, because it's going to be a hard road to come out of where we are. But we need some good players to make good consumer products, to um, to demand a sustainable price, which then builds an ecosystem of profitability for all of us. So, how'd it go? Is that is that
Yeah, I think
a good enough
I think
vision?
it's one. Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I do believe that we need to be more customer centric. It's all
Mm,
about the customers. It's not about us. We
yeah,
serving people. That's what we do in the wine industry. But I feel like there is a point I would like to discuss it to get your view about it. It's a lot of people. I would say by even my experiences in Brazil, there is a bunch of wineries is open in Brazil at the moment. It's not necessarily coming from people in the wine industry or people have the experience or people. It's actually coming from, and this is a lot of it what's been building in UK and South Africa, even in some in Australia too. So some people has been building wineries, not necessarily to get be profitable making wines.
yeah,
So they just wanted to satisfy the ego,
yep,
to tell the friends, I have a winery,
mm,
and it is because the wine have this status, this luxury feeling when you show your property and you're beautiful and blah blah blah,
yep, yeah,
and because they're making money outside of the wine industry,
yeah,
doesn't they don't really care about
no,
the sustainable business in
mm,
the wine industry. They don't even care if they sell it too expensive or too low, if it's fair or not fair for the wine. They don't care
no,
because the business not making money, and they don't want the business make money either. So they don't, because they make money with the other business. The wine business is staying hobby. It's not
yes,
necessary as a business.
mm,
So I, if they don't looking, you're looking for sustainable
yep,
wine business. That's you want to, and I'm sure there is a lot of producers who want the same because they live it's from that business too. But we have a big amount of the wine business. I don't know the numbers who survive from other business, not necessarily from the wine business. So for them, they're not looking to get sustainable wine business
no,
or to be consumer focused
mm.
because
Is it
they don't
just
care
want to
about
feed their
consumer.
ego? Yeah,
They care about themselves.
yep,
I wanted to know what is going to feel good about myself. I don't care about what consumers want. I don't want to care
mm,
what's consumers going. I don't want to care about where they are going. I don't need this making this winery be profitable because I earning billions, millions, whatever
mm,
else I do outside. So I have absolutely no motivation. So I telling this because one of my conversations when we went to California in 2024 was with someone. who actually talk with people who want to invest, like was in the bank, who
Mm.
was giving so it was talking like for people who want to build the wineries in California. And it's like, oh, Priscilla, you have absolutely no idea. People coming here and telling them the next 10 years you're gonna lose a 50 million. They say like, oh, okay, where I can sign the contract. So
Mm.
the people know when they start a new winery, one of these luxury premium, blah blah blah, with this over, uh, they know it's gonna lose the $50 million the next 10 years, and they don't care.
Yeah.
So they don't care anymore. They see like, okay, it's 50 million less. I can pay taxes, so that's fine. Or I can invest in the land, and that the land's gonna be more expensive later. That's fine.
Yep. Mm.
So there is no thinking about sustainability of as a business. So I
Yeah.
feel like there is a big problem there, and that's why I'm keeping talking about ego all the time, because there is a big problem there and no one is actually looking for it. And I don't know if you see the same thing, because I see in my experience in Brazil now, we had about 8 wineries that were close to São Paulo when we started, like 5, 6 years ago, on that region to be a consultancy. And now we have about 80 wineries. And when you
Yeah.
look in the people who actually, not all, everybody, but a lot of them, they are richest people in Brazil. They have absolutely so much money. And they don't care. They just wanted to tell people, I have a winery. So,
Yeah.
and and that's the thing. I feel like wine in Brazil, for example, is going on this path too. And I can see this from outside. And how we're going to stop those people? Or there is
Mm.
something we can do.
Oh,
What's gonna be? How we're going to be affecting the whole chain?
yeah. I don't know how to answer that. Other than that never lasts. Like it's good for a while, but these people have made millions and billions for whatever reason, probably because they're good business people. Eventually, they'll work out that if that business isn't profitable, they've had their time, they've had their glory as owning a winery. um, they might not have it for very much longer because if it's not selling and they're not thinking about the consumer and they're not building a sustainable business, then eventually they're going to work out that they're better off not to have it, because it's actually losing money, because they might not have all their billions forever. um, that's one thing. Um, yeah, but saying that, any player, I don't discount or categorize the players in terms of what their story is or where they come from. It um, if they can create demand and if they're willing to pay their growers for you know a fair price for the grapes, then as long as they're selling them, as long as that pipeline keeps emptying and requires fill up every year, then I think we'll just embrace what it is. But again, sort of eyes wide open. Um, if they're being propped up by something outside the industry, how long is that really going to last? Is probably the question that you've got to ask if you're choosing to partner with someone like that. But yeah, we've seen, particularly wineries and also vineyards in Australia, we've seen investors come, but we've seen them go as well. And more often than
Mm.
not, the ones that have the longevity are family owned wineries and
Mm.
vineyards. Um, why? Because we can battle storms. We can average our numbers. We can not pay ourselves for a year if we have to. Like we can move numbers around. We don't run our whole business from a spreadsheet, um, and we have passion, which kind of gets lost a little
Motivation.
bit, and motivation. Yeah. Whereas the investors and the corporates, they're purely looking for their dividend and their margin and um, you know their payment each year, and particularly this industry, we can't do that. We've got to weather storms, and make hay when the sun shines, all those cliches, but it's a long game, the wine industry, um, in terms of profitable business. It's a long game. So yeah, there'll be players who come and go. There'll be that, yeah, and like I said in my last post, that ego does get in the road of, um, you know, what we're selling and who we are, and those kinds of things. So we've got to be careful. But um, like I say before, we've got to remember who we're making these wines for. Um, Now, if we're making them to pat our own ego, then very good. But I don't know how much money you make from ego. Um, if you're making them for a consumer, then that's the path forward to making continuous money, because they might like your Sauvignon Blanc this week and they'll buy your Pinot Noir next week. So it's emptying the pipe and filling it again. I think is really important in this industry. Um, yeah, that's my answer. I don't know if it's a good answer, but yeah,
It's good. It's good. It's always try to get some reflection towards, you know, different perspectives to put on the table to make
yeah,
us rethinking, thinking more, get our visions. So it's almost an hour of your interview, Chris. Thank you so much for everything you have sharing with us today. I always, for everybody who's coming for the Vino Visionaries, we always end up with the three final advice, the three pieces of advice you'd like to share today for everybody who's in growing grapes as well around the world is watching us. So it's what the things is what are we keeping needing to looking, reflecting, try to improve, make sure we're not getting stuck psychology as well on the bad mood. I think psychologists play a very big important game here in the wine industry, because if your mind is declining, it could be taking you on the wrong path. So
mm,
what's the three three types, three pieces of advice for all of us as a community, as the people who are watching you, how we can be prepared the next 2 years, 3 years, for whatever the wine industry is coming to keeping, so keeping putting this alive and creating new
yeah.
realities, and make sure we are together on this and building the future.
I don't know. See how we go. But I think the big one, which I've already talked about, and I say a lot in my posts, is you've got to know your value and you've got to command that value. You might not always get it, depends on your situation, but I think that value piece is really important. Like, um, yeah, we grow good wine. We should command a good price. That it's basic. There's a lot more to it. I know. I've tried to sell wine before. It's not that simple. But if we know our value and we can and try and build profit into it right through that supply chain, it'll be a much more positive, thriving industry. And then when we're more positive, to your point before, that psychology, when we're more positive, then that's when we're in a mind frame to build on what we're doing, and we're in a mind frame to innovate, and we're in a mind frame to be open to new ideas around products and varieties and wine styles and consumers. So yeah, we're kind of stuck in this spiral of depression at the moment, and I hope that we can build some value in and get that positivity going again. Um, what else? Don't forget the grower. We're so far. We like there's the consumer, there's all these players in between, and then there's the grower at the bottom. And I hate to say just a grower. I say it a lot that I'm just a grower. But
You are not just the girl. You need to change your identity, Chris. You
yeah,
are
yeah.
the main thing.
But
And
well,
that's the first thing on mine.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we've just got to remember all the players within the supply chain. Um, that's just one thing. But and yeah, my other one, which I'm by no means a marketer, but it makes sense to me is be consumer focused, because they're the ones that buy our wine and keep the pipeline flowing. So um, I don't know. You've put me on the spot. I hadn't really thought about three messages or visions, but yeah, they're just some of the things. But we've got to, our value piece is important.
Yeah, no, you'll be amazing, Chris. You have no idea how amazing you end up in this podcast. It's your first podcast. You'll be absolutely amazing. It was amazing talking to you and get some of your thoughts to the table. Some of the things this has been very, I would say, challenging. I think probably be the nice words to like the better words to putting on this podcast. To like talk about these old challenges. We always forget
Mm,
about. We get it too much to focus on marketing, but we forget all the challenges the growers is going through at the moment. And I
mm,
think that's it's some a good way to say, like it's not just one part of the wineries is actually in pain. It's the whole chain. And when one is affected, then everybody's is affecting too. And I think
yeah.
it's a good to remember how hard it is to grow grapes. It's not the
Mm.
easiest job to do it.
No,
Um,
but I love doing it, and so we need to embrace that passion. Um, I've been back on this farm for 13 years, and I reckon I could count how many bad days I've had on one hand. Like, I love what I do, and that's why I want to keep doing it. And so that's why I'm so passionate about seeing the industry rebuild, rethink, and have a good vision. So yeah, no, that it's been important, and I have a bit of fun doing those posts on LinkedIn, and
I
yeah,
love them.
I
Keep doing. I love reading them.
I
I'll
don't
be
hold
the
back.
one.
Oh, I do hold back, actually. I won't say that. There's been a few that I've had to push the delete button that might have just gone a little bit too far. But I'm just honest. I'm me, and I think it's important to tell the real story. Um, um, and yeah, it's sort of, I don't know. It's been a fun experience. It's not always positive. I sometimes get some negative feedback as well, but that's all part of it. Water off
Yeah.
a duck's back. So
I think that to be honest, I take in the rejection or the negative ways for me to learning.
mm,
I don't take it as personal. Like I don't take it as oh my god, they're gonna cry or I'm gonna make this
yeah,
going to my head. I take it as a okay, they have a different perspective, different
mm,
view, or there is that something I can take in to grow, and there's some things is not really gonna take me anywhere, so I
yeah,
just leave it there. So I
no,
think I just be good on filter on those things, Chris. I don't think negativity doesn't mean anything. It's just the way you interpretation things and how you take
yeah.
to your life. I don't.
And
We
I don't
have
pretend to know it all. So I'm happy to be put in my place and told that I'm wrong. So all good.
Yeah, exactly. I think we needed to understand that we are human beings, and it's okay if we have some thoughts. I really love it. I'm
Thank you.
with your stuff on the LinkedIn. I'm a big one of your bigger fans, so that's me. So please don't stop it. I'm reading them. And then yeah, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for taking this an hour from out away from your breaks to make sure we have this chat and record this chat to be able to talk and put your voice um, around the visionaries, around what we're doing around the globe. Try to think it's collaborative forces to
Mm,
to know what's going to be the next step for us industry as a whole. I would say I got a lot of inspirations, a lot of good stuff in this podcast from you. So I just wanted to say how proud I am to be here with you, and thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you, and congratulations on everything that you've achieved with Visionaries and rethinking wine. Pretty impressive. You're traveling the globe, sort of, with your goals and ambitions, and it's pretty impressive. So thank you.
Yeah, no, together we're gonna do big things, Chris. Thank you, Chris.